Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Guerrilla Sports Off Ice Friday edition. Off day edition, more or less. Avs did practice today. I'm Jesse Montano. I'm going to be joined by Meghan Angley in just a moment. But I do want to remind you guys about our great friends over at Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American's salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get a better interest rate and lower your monthly payment. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much money they can help you save today. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. How's it going, everybody? Welcome in. Jesse Montano, Meghan Angley here. We got Chloe behind the glass today. We're on our second day in between games 3 and 4 of Avs Stars. We were at practice this morning. Got to hear from Gabe Landeskog. You talked to Brock Nelson. We talked to Jared Bednar. So it was a fun day. Filled with a lot of insight. Meghan, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good. The weather turned a little bit overcast, so I think my mood came down just a tiny bit, and there's obviously a lot of pressure around what Game 4 means in this series, and I'm feeling it a little bit too, but my spirits are still high. My confidence is still high in this team.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's easy to, for fans to feel down, given that the Avs are behind in this series. But look, this is like Jared Bednar said, this is why you play 7. This is the drama that makes playoff hockey so great. And yeah, I mean, look, the Vegas Golden Knights fell behind 2-1 last night in their series against the wild card Minnesota Wild. So this is the drama that it's all about. Avs are in a really fun series so far. The one thing that maybe we haven't given enough air to in the last couple days has been that we've seen 3 really good hockey games so far in this series. So Avs Stars has definitely delivered on all the hype, on all the expectations. We'll talk about it again at the end of the show. But if you want to be in the building for tomorrow's Game 4, head on over to Guerrilla Sports socials, whether it be Instagram or Twitter. We are giving away 2 tickets to Game 4. So head on over, follow the rules. I believe on Instagram, you got to like, you got to follow, you got to tag a friend. On Twitter, you got to like, follow, retweet. We're going to pick a random winner tomorrow morning, Saturday, to send one of you to Game 4 with a buddy. So we'll circle back and remind everyone again at the end of the show, but make sure you are getting on top of that. Meghan, a lot of updates from practice today. Some lines changed up, some power play units changed up, and we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk a little bit about what all of that means. And why it's relevant to what's going on with the Avs right now. But I guess let's just start. I don't remember the last time we've seen a full practice during the playoffs, Meghan.
Yeah, well-attended practice and full length of the practice too. So some important work getting done, tinkering with the top 6 and digging into special teams in the power play in particular. I know people have concern that Colorado's side of things is not making adjustments as Dallas is throughout the course of this series. And I think today, and going back a couple games, there are examples of changes being made. And today marks some pretty big ones, including the top 6 in the power play.
I told Chloe yesterday, because we were both, here at the office late. We had stuff going on with the NFL draft yesterday. And I told her, I said, the online, and I do think it's exclusive to online discourse around Jared Bednar doesn't make adjustments. It's mind numbing to me. Cause I told Chloe, I said, I'd love to ask some of these people hey, what you're talking about here, these games are chess matches and you got to make little adjustments to counter what Pete DeBoer is doing. So, in your opinion, someone who thinks that Pete DeBoer is making all these amazing chess moves and Jared Bednar just has no clue to do, what are those specific adjustments that you've seen Pete DeBoer make from games 1 to game 3? And how has Jared Bednar failed to counter? And what would you have done different? Because all those people will go, he can't coach against Pete DeBoer. He's getting out coached. Megan, there's micro adjustments being made in all of these games. Not only people act like the only adjustments you can make are lines. There's tactical adjustments. There's way that you deploy guys from one shift to the next. We saw a shift at the end of the second period last game that featured Nathan McKinnon, Brock Nelson, and Gabe Landeskog. It's about where the faceoffs are being taken, situations of the game. There are small adjustments that are being made constantly over the course of this game. And we've ended up with the game that the Avs won handily, and then 2 games that the Dallas Stars eked out in overtime. But all of that being said, big adjustments made today at practice, specifically with that second line. And then on the power play, let's start with the 5-on-5. Jonathan Drouin and Gabe Landeskog have been swapped. Jonathan Drouin now skating with Charlie Coyle and Yoel Kiviranta. Gabe Landeskog, after one game, elevated to playing alongside Brock Nelson, Val Nichushkin, and Jared Bednar said, yeah, I think he can handle a few more minutes.
Yeah, I think it's a great adjustment. And I want to revisit that conversation you just had about adjustments or lack thereof and dig into that a little bit more later. But
yeah,
Landeskog played with intensity in his first game back. And I felt his puck touches, his timing really weren't so off from being up to NHL playoff game speed. And so his readiness off the jump was really encouraging. And as far as speed, conditioning held up over the course of a long game that goes into overtime. Similar to how I spoke about him with his conditioning stint in the Eagles, he looks comfortable.
Yep.
That isn't a lingering concern in my eyes. And obviously he is well connected with the conversations happening around his usage. He analytically came out of that game too, demonstrating that he could handle a little more responsibility. So it's crazy to me that we are in this room because we were just wondering if Landeskog even comes back, what kind of player are they seeing on the other side of this injury? And I know it's been just one game, but it's very encouraging how consistent his game still is over the course of the full length of a game. He's physical, he's engaged, and I think that can really add energy to that second line. I know that Drouin had a tough game, and he has more to give than we've seen in this series. And I think he's actually exactly what that third line could use too, because he has the playmaking skill that can help to set players like Coyle up at the net front to get a little bit more in front of Jake Ottinger. And Kiviranta is another player that I think has more to give in this series.
I think he's got a lot more to give.
I think he's just been neutral, and we've seen neutral Kiviranta in the regular season, and it's okay. But there was a different level to Kiviranta in the Winnipeg series, especially last year, and he carried that over into the Dallas series. But there's a playoff version of Kivi that hasn't been brought to the third line yet, and I think the playmaking IQ of Drouin, the hard work and responsibility of Coyle, that could be a really complimentary third line. And now they've got the heartbeat of this team in Landeskog on that second line, where I think they're having a bit of an identity crisis. And there's no player who embodies the identity of the Colorado Avalanche better than Gabriel Landeskog.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here about Kiviranta, but as we were watching the lines today, for me, Megan, and I, Ross Colton, we didn't really get much of an update today from Jared Bednar, but I'm looking at Kivy and I'm saying to me, if Ross is healthy, he's the first one out. Hasn't been anywhere close to good enough for that third line. To me, Yoel Kiviranta in this series has looked like the 13th forward that he was kind of always originally thought to be. Not the 16-goal guy that we saw contributing regularly throughout the regular season.
Right.
To me, this year's playoffs has kind of been the opposite for Kivy last year, where he struggled in the regular season and then took his game to a different level in the playoffs. This year, it's been, wow, he was a real positive surprise in the regular season, and he has not been any kind of a factor in this series so far.
You know what I think heightens this is the things that Kiviranta does well that earn him praise in the regular season, this one in particular, is his checking game. You know, he's heavy on the forecheck, and so he'll compete for pucks. But what I think took away from that separating his play from others is a lot of players are doing this right now for the Avs. Jared Bednar shouted out their defensive effort. I think as Dallas has tightened things up defensively, quietly, so have the Avs, and that's why these games have gotten closer and closer in terms of the margins. And Kivi's game isn't popping as a result of that because the things that he did, everyone else is doing those things too right now. So he has to bring more to the table than just being physical and battling for pucks. Everybody has to do that this time of year. So I'm with you. I think he's been too much a neutral impact, dare I say a passenger.
Yep. I think he's been one of the quiet guys that Jared is talking about, but we don't need to spend any more time dunking on Kivi. Did you have one other thing?
No, I felt bad. Like move on.
Yeah, no.
Sorry,
I mean, look, it's this time of year, you got to put everyone under a microscope. And not only is Kivi in the lineup, he's elevated in the lineup. And this is the territory that comes with being a player elevated in the lineup, is you got to produce the way that you did 3 weeks ago. And I love your call out there of like, everyone's doing what Kivi does, so he's got to find a way to separate himself again. Okay, so Gabe back with that. And you know what, Megan? Let's hear from Gabe. We got to talk to Gabe at his stall today. I'm going to play it. Let's hear from Gabe, and then we can kind of unpack from there, because he touches on the power play, touches on playing with this new line here. So let's roll this real fast, and we'll kind of revisit the conversation from there.
I guess the question that everyone's kind of wondering is, how you feeling? How's the knee feeling? How's the body after game, couple days off, day on the ice?
Yeah, it feels really good. Really good. No issues. So, the body's holding up well, and been skating pretty hard as of the last month or so, and it wasn't like we were going out there to play and then gambling on how it was going to feel. So we felt pretty confident with it and responding well.
How satisfying is it to be rewarded for all the hard work to get to that point where you're ready to go? It's not a gamble playing in a game.
Yeah, no, I mean that was the goal all along, and it took us a while, but obviously very rewarding, and I think it's it kind of just beyond hockey really when it comes to just the journey itself and the ups and the downs and everything you got to deal with. So it takes a village. You don't do it by yourself. It takes a lot of support, and really excited being back out there. And now it's just I felt myself shifting over into hockey player pretty quickly. Obviously it is. I understand all the attention around it. I get it. It's a unique situation and whatnot, and I can appreciate that for what it is. But I think as a competitor and as an athlete and as a Colorado Avalanche, like that's my focus, and excited to get ready for the game tomorrow, and knowing that it's kind of less about the first game back and all that, and just more about us trying to win a hockey game.
With that, how nice is it to be back in a routine?
It's definitely good being back in a routine, and especially being back in the room with the guys, being back in practice, being back just in the battle of things. So yeah, it's great. Excited for it. I mean, this is what you work for, best time of year. So we're looking forward to tomorrow, and can't come soon enough.
I know I had asked you this on Wednesday, but it's hard to tell as far as chemistry goes, but being out there on the power play and the second line today for practice, how did that chemistry feel?
Power play, we got some reps at the end for sure, and it's good. We got some things to work on, and we've had some good conversations about it. Not far off last game. I think we create plenty of scoring chances there towards the end of it. Silecki has a great look. Drew has a great look in the middle. Created some chaos in front of the net, and we're going to need more of it. We're going to need more shots, more dangerous scoring chances, and I think as a line 5-on-5, we didn't really do much in terms of line work today, but it's good. I'm excited. I think we're all excited, ready to go, and should be another great atmosphere and go win a hockey game.
How much, looking back just one last time, how much did the hockey community reach out to you? Did you get any feedback from anyone that kind of really stood out?
A lot. I mean, I haven't had a chance to go through text messages yet, but when things settle down, I probably will, and I apologize to everybody who I haven't gotten back to. But yeah, there have been guys from around the league that have reached out, and congratulated me. I think congratulations, I understand why people say it, but it feels weird to receive them because I don't know. This is just kind of the end product of it, getting back on the ice. But I think that the work has been done every single day for 3 years, and so for me, this is no different. You just continue showing up, and the work looks a little bit different. It's on the ice and in a game, but like I said before, it takes a village, and the support's been incredible from all around the place, and it means a lot.
How many unread text messages do you have?
I don't know, 130 something the last time I looked. It's just overwhelming, and I apologize, like I said, to the people, but I'll get back to them at some point. I think people understand it's a lot, and especially in the playoff series, it'll take me an hour, but I'll get there, yeah.
Jared said that he was really impressed with your timing and the details for it being your first game back. Jumping right back into playoffs, just how did you feel from that standpoint of pucks hitting your stick, guys closing on you quickly, things like that?
I think there's some things that I need to work on and some things that will come as I continue playing. And the beauty of being in a playoffs series like this is just you got to jump right in. There's no time to feel around and see how things are going. So you got to adapt on the fly and improve on the fly. And I think right now for me, every game is super useful. Every shift is super important. And for me, I kind of got some fresh game tape to study, and I've been doing that and felt pretty good here and there. Made some decent plays, but other than that, there's a lot of areas to improve on, and that's a good thing.
Your first game playing with a lot of these new players that were acquired right at the trade deadline or even before. What's kind of been your impression of that overall?
We have a really good team. A lot of good players. It's just a matter of making sure we get the most out of everybody. And I think that's up to the individual, but also us as a team and as a group to make sure we're all ready to go and make sure everybody's pulling together on the rope in the same direction. I think we're all doing that, and I think we could easily be sitting here with a different result in the series right now, but the reality is we're down 2-1, and we got to go win a hockey game. It's as simple as that. And as a group, we've got plenty of depth, we got plenty of skill, we got a lot of character in this room, so excited to see how we come out tomorrow.
I know you said there's things you want to improve on, personally, but how did you feel just throughout the course of the game, your game was coming along? Like, how did you feel the pace and everything was coming to you?
I thought the pace felt pretty good. No surprises there, and the one thing was probably just timing, things like that. Timing, seeing plays, feeling the pressure, stuff like that. But it's pretty good, and I'll continue to improve on it and continue working. Excited to get another crack at it tomorrow.
All right, we'll get into what he talked about there, playing with that second line. And I thought it was a good question. I don't remember who asked of, what's it like for him playing with all these new guys? Because suddenly you're thrown back in, and more than half the team is turned over since he last played. But Megan, we noticed the jersey he's wearing there. It's blue. He's back on that top power play unit. And that is maybe, I do think it's a little funny how short some folks' memories can be, myself included in this. Is, you sit there, you see them go 0 for 6 in that last game, and you can forget that the power play converted in each of the 2 games in this series. So it's not like it's been all bad this whole series, but in that last game, they needed a spark, and you and I were talking back half of that second period into the third period. They need one more. You need one more to just extend this out a little bit, and they had plenty of opportunities on the man advantage. And they couldn't cash in. What kind of impact do you think Gabe could have on that top unit? And then just how do you feel about Jared shaking it up just in general?
Yeah, before I answer that, I kind of want to key in on what the problem is in the first place. And you're right. They do capitalize on, just here to say, be nice to Kivy. He almost killed someone last game. He did have a huge hit.
He did.
I might have even taken a note. I was trying to remember who it was.
Thanks for stopping by to stand up for Kivy, Evan, because he hasn't been good enough. But good on Evan for making sure we keep that perspective.
I think it was Leon Bichelle. If I'm remembering correctly. I don't have it in my notes going off memory, but I remember the hit, Kivy. Okay.
Yeah. Gabe on the power play.
I wasn't even going to start with Gabe on the power play yet. I was just going to start with the power play in general because it has capitalized in 2 of the 3 games so far. It's just special teams has been so strong for Dallas on either side of it. And so their power play has also been capitalizing. Their PK has only gotten stronger. And so this is where DeBoer has made adjustments to his penalty kill to counter Colorado's power play very specifically. And I reflect on the challenges of the power play in game 3, and it felt more self-inflicted than anything,
Yep.
in spite of adjustments that DeBoer is making on the PK to play tighter and even more aggressive. It's clear the way in which Dallas was effectively taking away time and space. But the Avs sort of took the bait a little bit in being baited into that feeling of needing to pass to try and create more time and space in the absence of it. And it's where that's self-inflicted. Like, you don't have to make that decision though, and there needs to be a little bit more trust on the whole. And so this isn't singularly like Jonathan Drouin's problem or Nichushkin's problem. Like, we see Nichushkin and Lehkonen switched out from units too, so there's adjustments happening on the power play alongside adjustments happening to Dallas's PK. So they're both trying to match each other. And that's sort of, I talked with Brock Nelson this morning. What he's describing too is they're both watching the same tape. And so they're both making adjustments and trying to counter what the other is doing. Dallas has such a good PK. So I look back to, do you remember when the Avs, they won, I think, 5-2 over Winnipeg, and then less than a week or two later, they get shut out 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of what their problem was at this time, and it was something that they resolved in season. So there is a path forward through this, and it doesn't require totally nuking the power play. But shortly after this is when the Makar Antonin trade happened, and you get new blood and Marty Necas as an option on the power play. New blood can be exactly what this power play unit needs. And so Gabriel Landeskog, not new to that top unit, but new to it right now, could be exactly the sort of jolt to reset the system that is an effective one when they leverage their speed, especially on entry. And Gabriel Landeskog as a net front presence, just in addition to that, is going to bring a little bit of intensity, bring a little bit of grit. I talked about energy that he can add to that second line. That translates to the power play too, because I also look at the second line troubles that they've been having lately, and it does feel like if the top 6 is struggling, you can always look at the power play and see that it was struggling first. And so these two things feel directly related to one another. And looking at the impact that the new blood of Marty Necas had when he joined Colorado, I think that Gabriel Landeskog in the top 6 and on the top unit can be the very thing that this power play needs.
Well, and, when Marty Necas showed up, to your point, like, it was new blood in not only in the sense that in that instance, Marty Necas was brand new to the team, but it was also just a different dynamic that didn't previously exist on that top unit. And so to your point, I think that's something that Gabe can help with. Of, here's just a different look that we haven't had in 3 years, and having this type of net front guy. And now suddenly you can have Val on the second unit and Gabe on the first unit, and you still feel really good about who's there. I also think Gabe is going to inherently drive that, power play to the interior of the ice. And that was where I felt the most frustrated watching the Avs, because you're right about the adjustments that Dallas has made on the kill. But when I watch it, I still see Dallas overcommitting on the puck carrier and pressuring them around the perimeter and forcing them to make these decisions and these passes in tighter windows that they don't like. But to me, the Avs had already kind of solved that in the first game and a half, where they were making these quick passes and actually punishing Dallas for overcommitting to the perimeter, because the Avs were getting to the middle of the ice. I look at a guy like Marty Necas and really just that power play, that top power play unit as a whole. On the rare occasion they were able to get the zone established in game 3, it was just all perimeter play. And then attempts at forcing the puck into that bumper spot. And you could tell that Dallas said, okay, they want to play around the perimeter, then get it to the bumper. And they were just eating that up. I just want to see more movement, like what we saw out of Nathan MacKinnon in the first game in particular. And I even noticed in the second game where he was playing more like a rover. Him and Marty Necas are interchanging a lot, crossing through the middle of the zone. And I think Gabe Landeskog will kind of help them force that puck to the middle of the ice and just get Dallas outside of where they're comfortable playing on this penalty kill, which is putting a lot of pressure on the puck carrier out high and forcing them into bad passes.
You know, the rotation as a strategy too is how the Avs open the scoring on the power play, at least in game one. Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Necas rotating from the top and the bottom of the circle. And similarly, I think the Val Nichushkin goal that was on 4v4 in game three, Dallas did a lot of things wrong on this play.
Yeah.
But I also think that the Avs utilized rotating Dallas to be out of position and overcommit to the puck carrier and the anticipated threat to their advantage. And I think you're right. Where the Avs, I think, are showing some trauma wounds is because of allowing shorthanded chances the other way if Dallas does get a stick in a lane and that puck is now coming up ice. I think the Avs have this fear around how Dallas will capitalize on that opportunity. So they're maybe nervous to try to move the puck to the interior any other way than to the bumper spot. But I don't think they should operate from a place of fear. And I won't speculate that that's exactly what's happening here. But I do want to see them trust their instinct, because this is a team that can have other layers of versatility on their power play if they move.
Yeah.
And they need to trust, because it rewarded them almost instantly when they started moving. And Marty Necas was a huge piece in getting them to move, almost because they were forced to, with the way that Nathan MacKinnon and Necas played on the power play originally. They were sort of forced into this, but I think they have to embrace movement on the power play and lean into the jolt that Landeskog can provide, being kind of a menace too on that top unit.
Totally.
And giving Dallas's PK a really hard time.
It's and that was my number one thing. What you just said there at the very end, they did not make things hard enough on Dallas in their own end, in particular on the power play. And that was something that I thought they did effectively in those first couple games, is they made it hard for the Stars to defend the way they wanted to defend, to move the puck they wanted to. I just felt like the Avs have players on the ice just haven't done enough to make Dallas's life difficult enough. So that's the power play. Gabe Landeskog skating with Brock Nelson, Val Nichushkin. That's a big line. That's a mean line. And especially if Gabe Landeskog can continue to build on solid performances. Again, I just think that he provides something to that line that can help spark Brock Nelson, can help provide support to Val Nichushkin, who you hope Val can build on that goal and become more of a factor in this series going forward.
Yeah, Val needs to be more of a factor. Landeskog or not. Hopefully that's the jolt that he needs, but he's usually more of a difference maker, even if it's just the way in which he plays physically and makes himself hard to defend against. I feel like we haven't seen that freight train Nichushkin that typically shows up, especially in the playoffs. And he's been there all year, right? When healthy. So I'm curious why a little bit of that spark has been missing from his game. But going back to the impact of Landeskog, it does feel like exactly what that line needs. I think there have been shades of the right thing from Brock Nelson, and it's overshadowed by the fact that it's not translating to scoring. And that is a problem. I won't gloss over that. People who are concerned about the second line are rightfully concerned about it. But I think defensively, Brock Nelson has been steady, and there have been some chances that he's been denied on. Like I think there was a play in the second period, kind of a wrister that he tried to backhand his own rebound in close to make Ottinger make a save. I need more of that Brock Nelson, who will assert himself at the net front, and he's going to be relentless, and he's going to make Jake Ottinger make a save. That is what he's capable of. I'll end it there.
No. I apologize for cutting you off, but because I agree with you. I think Brock Nelson is one of the guys right now that needs to take a deep breath. He looks to me like he's squeezing the stick a bit. I think he feels the pressure. I think he understands that he needs to be better, that they need him to contribute in a bigger way. But I think that this is a moment where take a deep breath. Gabe Landeskog is going to be on your line. It's going to be something a little bit different. And trust his instinct. trust the player that he is. That's why the Avs went out and got him. And because I think not only can Brock Nelson be a difference maker in this series, I think the Avs need him to be. And when Jared Bednar, told us yesterday that there were just too many guys that had been quiet in this series so far, to me, Brock Nelson is maybe the number one example of that. That's a guy we can't afford to have be quiet, and we need more out of him. And I think that this moving Gabe up, is to hopefully try to get more out of him. And I don't need Brock Nelson to go fill the net. Like you said, I think he's done some good things away from the puck. I don't think it's been all bad from Brock Nelson, but the Avs need more out of him and that line. Val gave him a spark. Now they kind of got to take it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and it feels so close. We're on the doorstep of it coming together with the top 6 picture. I know that feels pretty unsatisfactory because we're running out of runway, but I wanted to put the series on the whole into perspective a little bit too. This is something Brock Nelson made mention of, and that's been sitting in my brain the last 48 hours or so. This would be a really different series if Dallas didn't win game 3. Now they have yet to open the scoring in any game.
Mm-hmm.
They've only held the lead. What is it?
62 seconds.
62 seconds throughout the course of this series. If Avs went into game 4 up in the series, it would feel like Dallas is out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I imagine being a huge difference is, imagine Colorado ties the series on Saturday. And now and does it handily. Let's say it's a couple goals difference, kind of similar to their performance in game 1. It completely flips the narrative and how any of us are going to talk about this series if the Avs just go and put a couple past Ottinger on Saturday and win it by more than a 1-goal margin. Then we're looking at this entirely different. And the Avs bringing this so close, it is frustrating then for it to slip through their grasp in the final minutes. But I think that we key in on the second line, and they're on the doorstep of this all coming together because the margins are so thin. The margin for error is so slim.
So I didn't want to say this because I didn't want to make it sound like a not an excuse, but it just, to your point, Megan, it's so funny. Like, winning really does fix everything. I think the Stars have played well in this series. I think that of the Avs as well. The Avs won game 1 5-1. Since then, it's been 2 OT coin flips where the Avs have had looks in overtime. Arturi Lehkonen is fractions of an inch away from sending the Avs home up 2-1 a couple nights ago. There were multiple looks that they had in Dallas in game 2. The Avs are suddenly in a situation where, okay, our season's on the line Saturday. Fans are frustrated. There's adjustments that now suddenly we're talking about. Like, hey, you got to be better. And how do you fix this? And how do you readjust to that? The Avs are 2 coin flips away from being on the verge of sweeping this series. And the coin flips have gone the other way. So Dallas is in the driver's seat, up 2-1. And it is just such, I think this series, it's been such a fun series so far because it is embodied hockey is a game of inches more so than any of the other series that are going on right now. This is truly, I can't remember. I think it was maybe Pierre Lebrun from TSN who said, this is a series between 2 teams that are built to go the distance and understand what it takes to get there. And you can tell based on the play on the ice. Like, we're digging in and nitpicking and going at what are changes and updates, adjustments and upgrades that need to be made on certain parts of the lineup for the Avs. And those are all true regardless of what the results are, but it's so much more magnified because they've lost the last 2 games in overtime. These are coin flips. The Avs have put themselves in position to win these games. they're right there. It's small little adjustments they need to make. They come out on the other side. Everything's heightened because you came out on the losing end. These are small micro adjustments that need to be made.
They are, and I've asked a couple of the players if they feel like they have the tools to make these adjustments to counter what Dallas has been doing well. And it's almost a laughable question because, of course, they have the tools. And I mean it from the perspective of information, too. Like, do you feel you have the information you need? And yes, it's pretty simple what this is boiled down to. It's making better decisions from the Avs because their defensive game is actually really tight, really committed, really bought in. I think they've gotten in their heads a little bit with what they're trying to do to create offense. Yes. And that gives me confidence because when I look at what this team is strongest at all year, 82 games, it's creating offense and opening up the game for themselves. Now, look, there are stretches I recall where this was an issue for the Avs over about 10 games. And there was that period around January where they were only getting contributions from the top of the lineup. This is a different situation. Yeah. They've already gotten some depth scoring. And I think that's a testament to the buy-in. And so it's just a matter of these kind of waking the sleeping giants of the top 6 and the top pair. And I look at the track record of a player like Cale Makar, and it feels hard to bet against that, especially given how he performs in big moments on big stages.
And how he responds. Jared Bednar alluded to that a little bit today. That like Cale Makar, like game 3 was not the first bad game Cale Makar has had in his career. But what Cale Makar does almost every time is he responds. And he comes back with a big game and a Cale Makar type game that we expect. So yeah, I'm with you. And I just wanted to give that perspective of like, yeah, it feels bad. The Avs lost 2 games in a row, both in overtime, both heartbreaking style losses. It's really not all bad. Like there's a lot that the Avs can take out of these games and say, those are good things that we've done that we want to keep doing more of. Jared Bednar told us today, I actually think our defensive game has improved steadily with every game in this series. This is the fun part of playoffs. This is what makes playoff hockey so fun, is that it is games of inches, fractions of inches at times. That you've got to find the way to come out and be on the right side of it and earn your bounces. We talked after the game. The Avs didn't do enough to earn their bounces in game 3. You got to come out here and in the same way that Dallas upped their desperation in game 2, it's the Avs turn to do that.
Yeah, you need to get more pucks to inside ice and more players to inside ice and use your speed to your advantage. You know, one thing Jonathan Drouin talked about is in watching other playoff hockey around the league right now, a lot of odd man rushes in games. In this series, there haven't been many allowed on either side of the ice. It's been a fight for ice every inch. And I think that the Avs have the tools at the top of the lineup, right? Especially a Dallas team without Robertson, that you expect better. And that's where I think a player like Cale Makar, who is a conduit for offense in a lot of ways, has not fully shown up in this series and has the experience and the maturity to be more of a difference maker than we've seen, and why I'm not going to get carried away worrying. Because the other thing about Cale Makar is he's been solid defensively in this series. And honestly, almost all of the defensemen have been pretty sound in that respect. It's a good problem to have then. You want to see the offensive tools of some of the players like a Girard, a Toews, and a Makar then shine through a little bit more. But I think they've been so worried about maintaining the defensive details that, not so differently from Brock Nelson, maybe holding the stick a bit too tightly, that's been where a lot of their focus has been. And I think they have a lot of support around them with what they're doing in their own end that they can lean into some of their offensive gifts.
Yeah. And, you know, Megan, through everything that we've talked about, adjustments, changes, lines, special teams, power play, defensive structure, I actually think there is one really, really, really simple thing that could change a lot for the Avs in this series. I'm going to tell you what it is right after I remind you guys about our great friends over at Accurate America. You never know when and where the hail will hit when the summer storms come. Like Megan said, the weather changed on us today. The clouds rolled in out of nowhere. And the last thing you want is to be caught scrambling when it does. So make the call before the storm. Call Accurate America. They'll partner with you on navigating insurance and provide quick, professional, and knowledgeable service using the latest technology and 3D modeling. And their work is guaranteed as long as you own your home. So if you're in the home and they work on your roof or on your siding, they're going to guarantee it as long as you are in there. Don't scramble at the last minute. Call Accurate America at 303-900-ROOF before the storm. Also want to tell you guys about our great partners over at Johnson Auto Plaza. Experience the power of the plaza at Johnson Auto Plaza. Why shop 3 different dealerships when Johnson Auto Plaza has 3 dealerships in one? You'll find over 40 acres. I actually did not believe that number when I first read it. 40 acres, Megan, of Ram, GMC, and Chevy trucks, Jeep Wranglers, Rubicons, Grand Cherokees, and Wagoneers, GMC and Chevy SUVs, and so much more. Visit johnsonautoplaza.com and feel the power of the plaza. Megan, can you feel the power of what I think this one tiny thing that if the Avs are doing better, they're probably up 3-0 in this series? Do you have a guess?
Execution.
Yes. Hitting the net. Hitting the net. Going into the third period of Game 3, Cale Makar had 5 shots that missed, outright missed. And I counted at least 3 or 4 more between the third period and overtime. Look, I went on the radio this morning and said not to be a shoot it guy, but I do want to see more pucks on net. And look, if you're stop swinging for the fences, shoot for some rebounds, make Jake Ottinger make a save, make him feel those pucks. I know this is maybe a silly thing, but there were multiple instances in Game 3 where the Avs had grade A looks from inside the home plate area and just missed the net. They didn't make Dallas block a shot. They didn't make Jake Ottinger make a save. They didn't give themselves a shot at a rebound. I think something as simple as dial your shots back in a bit and make sure you're hitting the net could go a long way for this group.
Yeah, I asked Jonathan Drouin about execution issues. Like, what does that boil down to? What's the path forward through that? And he said it boils down to decision making, and it's a matter of being better. And I appreciate the simplicity of that. And I also kind of want to go just quickly back to then where coaching comes into play, because Pete DeBoer has a good relationship with his players. It's clear to me because he can present to them the information and the adjustments that are needed, and it's a matter of his players executing. And I think the defensive buy-in that we're seeing from the Avs points to a positive, healthy relationship coach to player, because they are very bought into the way that they need to defend in Jared Bednar's system. The execution on the offensive side of the puck not being there, I don't view that as a disconnect from coach to player. I think they're being given the right information and the tools that they need to succeed. They're just in their heads a little bit. And when I look at a lot of the core players that are among the leadership and just from that cup team that are still present on the Avs, I defer to experience and mental toughness then as being the path forward through execution issues. I know that sounds simple, but it's not to just give Jared Bednar a total free pass. I think people oversimplify the coaching aspect in the series and the role and relationship that Jared Bednar has with his players. I look at the adjustments that DeBoer has made from Game 1 into Game 2 even, and those were requirements because the Avs did win 5-1 over Dallas in Game 1. His top 6 did not show up. His top players did not show up. So he had to immediately tinker with those lines. And I think the Avs are making similar adjustments as we go on, and we have a similar conversation of, okay, the second line for Colorado hasn't been good enough. And so I'm seeing very equal in weight and value adjustments being made. It's just sort of been dependent on the outcome and what the other team has done so well that needs to be countered. And Colorado presented a lot for Dallas to handle in Game 1, a lot that they discovered they need to contain much better. And that's why I think that the adjustments feel like they've been greater in weight, but I actually think it's a testament to how well prepared the Avs showed up for Game 1.
Jared Bednar said after game one, when someone said, "Did you learn anything about the Stars?" He said, "Nothing we weren't ready for." We got a super chat here, Megan. We've got a super chat from, I'm assuming it's Ricola.
Oh, I thought it was RC Cola.
Oh, damn. You're totally right. That's definitely what it is. I love RC. Have you ever had RC?
I have not.
It's a good cola. It's kind of the forgotten third cola, but it is a good one. $2 from RC Cola. Feels like Mac is playing hope and prayer hockey. I don't think Nate was good in game 3, but I appreciate the super chat so much. But Megan, I do agree with this. I think Nate was bordering on dominant in games 1 and 2. Didn't have a great game 3. I'm expecting a big bounce back from him here.
Yeah, another player that doesn't need much conversation after a game like that because he knows exactly what needs to be done moving forward. And his frustration about the power play was palpable in the post game. Got about 15 seconds of Nathan MacKinnon being asked, "What did you see as the issue on the power play?" He said, "I don't know." Here's the thing I know about Nathan MacKinnon. He does know. He knows exactly what he didn't like about his own game. He's not going to waste time talking with us about it. He's going to go and start mentally processing what he needs to reconcile to get right, not just on the power play, just be the difference maker that we know he can be. I also, I didn't want to key in on this too hard, but I think because we haven't seen it yet in this series, we might be underestimating the impact and the difference that Cale Makar can make. He's a point per game player against Dallas, and the only point per game or above player that Dallas has currently on their roster against the Avs in history is Heiskanen. And if Heiskanen comes back for Dallas, that's obviously a huge boost, but Cale Makar performs well, not just in the playoffs, but against Dallas very specifically. And we haven't come close to seeing that kind of difference from him offensively. I just wouldn't rule him out of the conversation of being the player that can completely turn this series on its head.
You talking about Heiskanen or Nate?
Cale Makar.
Oh, geez. Sorry.
Yikes.
Sorry, because I read a couple tweets here about Heiskanen for the first time jumped into some 5-on-5 rushes. And so I apologize. I missed the last part of what you said there because I was just going through a couple of these.
He's doing some special teams work again on the second power play unit.
I talked to someone who said he didn't, that he only did 2-on-2 stuff that day.
I was going off of Dallas reporters.
Wow. Someone is being led astray, and I just don't know if it's you or me.
I feel like it was more than one person.
Well, see, because because you and I talked about it after, and I said it wasn't anywhere near important enough for us to waste a bunch of time on it. So I went back through and I searched up his name, and I've only found people saying Heiskanen jumping in on 2-on-2 work today. It doesn't matter, but I still don't think he's coming back in tomorrow. I agree with you. Cale Makar needs to be tomorrow needs to be a Cale Makar game. Cale Makar, this is what he does. If he has a bad game, he comes out and takes over the next night. And I think not only can he be a difference maker in the series, I think he needs to be one of the primary difference makers tomorrow.
Yeah, because I don't think the Avs should be satisfied just with a win tomorrow. I think it needs to be by at least 2 goals difference. I know that sounds like a very silly, specific that I'm setting for them, but it's important for them to demonstrate, one, that they can open up the offensive side of the game for themselves. And that needs to get in Dallas's heads a little bit because it's only going to be a tied series at that point. But they need to have a stronghold over it and take the reins back. And so that starts by sending a message by opening up the game offensively where Dallas has tightened it up.
Yep.
Pretty suffocating. And so I think it's significant for them to win by a little bit more.
Well, and I guess, yeah, because I agree with that. I see it as just they need to open up the offense. Dallas has dictated the terms a little bit over the last couple games. And yeah, so I'm with you. You need to get back to playing Avs style hockey and just them being a little bit more in the driver's seat of that one. It's not going to be like that for the rest of the way, but yeah, I like what you're saying there. Put that message back in their heads. Megan, what else do you got here? I just don't. I don't know what else there is to say. And when you said execution, and I said, hitting the net, I really kind of took a step back and I was like, no, that is what we're talking about here. Look, there was a lot of conversation the last couple of days online about Jared Bednar and adjustments, and we kind of alluded to that off the top. I really do think there's an execution portion to all of this that is just, you do that a little bit better and the results are going to start falling the other way.
Yeah, because
it's that simple sometimes.
We talked about this on the post game after game 3, but it's an interesting room to be in where their defensive details are so good right now for the Avs and Dallas, which is why this is such a tight series, that it's kind of a nice room to be in where the thing that's missing is the thing they do best.
Yeah.
So they just need to return to their roots a little in that sense. I don't think they lack confidence, but I think it's been chipped away at a little bit here. And so it's important for them to rebuild their confidence back to a really proud place.
I loved what Jared Bednar said yesterday because someone, I believe it was Corey, good friend Corey Massasak, Denver Post, asked him about is it in anybody's heads a little bit about it's Dallas. Here we are again in this dogfight with the Dallas Stars. And Jared said, look, if anybody's thinking about past games, past series, struggles from last year's playoffs, or the fact that the Avs have struggled at home over their last 8 playoff games in Ball Arena, he said, if that's what you're thinking about on game day, I hope I know, because I don't want you in our locker room on game night. Their heads have to be in the right spot. You can't be frustrated with what has happened, where you struggled to create offense, where it's been, slow on the ice. You got to go out, and the Avs you got to flush everything that's happened to this point, and you got to go win game 4. You got to go win game 4 like your season is on the line, because the Avs aren't coming back from 3-1 against the Dallas Stars, more than likely. Obviously, you have to play the games, but if Colorado falls behind 3-1, losing both at home, you're putting yourself in a really tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's borderline unacceptable in my eyes.
100%.
And I think the question from FU 2006, do you think Dallas just has the Avs number? This is how I felt, almost identical to conversations around the Seattle series in their title defense season, because they had a really good game plan for shutting down Nathan MacKinnon and Colorado's top stars. And obviously, without Val Nichushkin, that was a different kind of lopsided series from the Avs perspective, at least. But this is a wildcard team that was defending them so well and making it difficult for them to create plays in transition where they typically thrive. And I started to see them find ways around this. But obviously, like losing Andrew Cogliano and having no Val Nichushkin and an offsides play that gets called back, that series was not going to work out for them. But I never felt like, Seattle has their number. And so I think Dallas has Colorado's number in that they're familiar. They're both familiar with each other, very familiar. And so their game plan to shut Colorado down, it's very good, but it's not impossible to beat.
Well, and I do just want to keep harping on the fact that, again, it's we've played 3 games, so someone has to be up 2-1. And whoever was going to have the 1 was going to be feeling this type of way on these 2 off days. The Dallas Stars have led for 62 seconds in this series. They've gotten the coin flips in overtime. This has not been an easy series for the Dallas Stars either to this point. Like, to your point about no, these 2 teams are just familiar with each other. They know what it takes to shut the other one down, to limit the other one's opportunities. The Avs have done that very effectively in this series. They haven't been able to convert at the big moments. Look, they let a 4-minute power play slip away in game 3 where they had an opportunity to win the game. That is a real thing that happened. And it's frustrating and it's not good enough. borders on unacceptable. But it's not like the Stars have just locked the Avs up for 3 games here and the Avs can't figure them out. These have been 3 very good games that the Avs could have easily come out on the right side of at least one more of them, if not both. This is a tight game where the margins are maybe even slimmer than what you normally get in a regular NHL game. These are 2 teams that are very familiar with each other, know how to play against each other, and that's what you've seen so far through 3 games. That's just kind of it for me. It's not just the Stars making life difficult for the Avs.
No, and the other thing I'll mention is I think the Avs, they kind of thrive playing in a place of pressure. I don't love this quality about them, but I like the expression that you don't make diamonds without pressure, you make pressure. You mean diamond pressure. Pressure on a diamond. Pressure diamonds.
Pressure diamonds. End of show.
Don't think it is a requirement that they have to play from a place of pressure in every playoff series all the time, always. But I have seen them capable in this exact situation before.
Yep. Do you have anything else?
No.
Let's get out of here. It's Friday. We're right back at it tomorrow. Mike Peterson with the super chat at the buzzer. Boys better come out buzzing. Need a fast start. It's got to be a much better start than what we saw a couple nights ago, Megan. Wasn't a great first period for the Avs in game 3. Yeah, I'm with Mike here. I want to see him set the tone a bit. Set the tone. You don't even need to score right away. But you come out and say, yep, we're dictating the terms in this one here tonight.
Yeah, they've opened the scoring in every game.
Right.
So they have to keep doing that.
Yep.
Keep leads. Build leads.
Yes.
Put pucks on net.
Pucks on net. And get
Drive
it there.
inside ice. And don't falter from the things that you've been doing through this point, too, defensively. They've been good. They've been strong in battles. They've been physical. Dallas matched their physicality better in game 3 and in game 2. Colorado just has to keep all those other things up, too.
Do you remember one of the things that Scott Wedgwood said to us after his first week, maybe 2 weeks here?
Pressure diamond?
Yes. He said, do you guys know diamonds about pressure and all that? No, he said, it's impressive how this team doesn't sacrifice defense to create offense. And I think you make a great point, Megan. And it's why I was saying what I was saying earlier of like you're not that far off. Don't sacrifice the things you've done well and overcorrect here. And suddenly you're selling out to try to generate offense. And yeah, maybe you're getting more pucks to the net, but you're way leaky or going back the other way. And suddenly the odd man rushes are flying and stuff like that. Keep doing what you're doing well. Make some of those small micro adjustments. Get to the interior of the ice. And just make life. Force Dallas to block a shot. Not that Dallas hasn't been doing that, but make somebody on Dallas feel it. Whether it's Jake Ottinger, a defenseman, a forward coming out high. The shots just got to be a little bit more threatening. Like I said, the Avs had, I think it was 13 shots that just straight missed the net heading into the third period. I didn't get a chance to see where the number finished, but yeah, I think that's a great call out. Don't overcorrect.
Yep. Don't let the fear of making a mistake prevent you from taking a chance. I know that sounds cheesy as heck, but I do feel like some of what I'm seeing in the offensive zone feels born from the fear of a broken play and coming undone and what might be heading for you the other way in an odd man rush. I don't think they should have no fear of odd man rushes, but I do think they need to loosen the grip because it's preventing them from creating creatively. Mm-hmm. And so I want to see them not operate from a place of fear.
I'm with you. All right. I think that's going to do it for today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Full game day coverage. We'll be down at morning skate and then bringing you guys everything the rest of the way. Whew, I'm going to go try to get a little bit of rest tonight before we head into tomorrow, Megan. She is Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We got Chloe behind the glass. I think Mark's back there as well. We'll give him a shout out just because why not? Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are checking out the new shop.gorillasports.com. Shop all the latest gear that we've got there. There's going to be new stuff being added all the time. We got the new Gabe Landeskog. He's back shirts, very 90s inspired. We got the coach shirts that we had up on the screen earlier for Jared Bednar. A lot of great stuff on there. Make sure you guys are dialed in there. And hey, we talked about it off the top. Make sure you guys are heading on over to Gorilla Sports Socials, Instagram, and Twitter. Get yourself entered. We're giving away 2 tickets to tomorrow night's game at Ball Arena, Avs Stars. Go follow the instructions there. Get your name entered. We'll be doing that drawing tomorrow morning. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
Bye.